Threequels tend to be fine. Dark Knight Rises, Return of the Jedi, Back to the Future Part 3, they're all okay, but don't quite match the franchise's established quality. Well, WrestleMania 3 saw that trend and told it to promptly eat a dick, because not only was Mania 3 heralded as a huge success financially and critically, it's widely regarded as the first truly great Mania. Of course, a lot of the matches are still as exciting to watch as a hot dead dog on a swing, as was the style at the time, but in terms of moments, it's a classic. But enough kissing the event's arse, here's some weird things that happened at the Silverdome. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 fascinating facts about WrestleMania 3. Number 10, Vince restricted pay-per-view access in the state of Michigan. Hey, the dude had a dome to fill. With Hulk vs. Andre for the WWF Championship looming large, WrestleMania 3 was the hottest ticket around, whether you watched from home or you attended that day in Pontiac. If you were anywhere near Pontiac and you wanted to see the show, buying a ticket was your only avenue. That's because McMahon took the liberty of blacking out the pay-per-view throughout the entirety of the Great Lakes state. If you live nearby, get your ass to the venue, turd boy. McMahon's plan seemed to work as traffic was gridlocked as far as the eye could see, jam-packed with cars full of revelers desperate to see the show, which led to number 9, Aretha Franklin nearly missed the event. There's an urban legend claiming that Mean Gene Okerlund's Rush rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner at WrestleMania 1 was done as a substitution, that a well-known but unnamed singer backed out at the 11th hour. Well, the world was pretty close to Mean Gene performing an encore 2 years later. That's because Franklin found herself arriving late to the venue owing to the torrent of fan-filled automobiles blocking her path to the Silverdome. The Queen of Soul made it in the nick of time and performed America the Beautiful without a sound check. Number 8, Vince tried to get Arnold Schwarzenegger. Long before governing states, hosting reality game shows, and hawking mobile strike, download it now, free from the App Store. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the king of Hollywood. Long before Arnie graced WrestleMania 31, Vince wanted the T-800 present at Mania 3. Apparently McMahon, NBC executive Dick Ebersol, and Arnold's Predator co-star Jesse Ventura flew to a movie set to appeal to the box office kingpin directly, trying to convince him to appear in some capacity at the Silverdome, but for reasons unclear, Schwarzenegger passed. Number 7, King Kong Bundy wasn't supposed to elbow drop Little Beaver. Worked or not, a 450-pound egg with limbs slammed around a 50-year-old midget wrestler at WrestleMania 3. Haha. 80s. In a comedic 6-man tag, King Kong Bundy drew a disqualification by body slamming the undersized Little Beaver, after which Bundy motioned for a follow-up elbow drop. He wasn't supposed to go through with it, but according to Bundy, the other midget wrestlers were late in stepping into Shield Beaver, so instead of stalling, which would have exposed the work, Bundy carried on dropping the elbow on a man 1/8 of his body weight. Reportedly, the improvised move was a career ender for Little Beaver, who did indeed retire in 1987. Number 6, Roddy Piper electrocuted himself 13 days before WrestleMania. After working a star-studded 8-man elimination match in LA 13 unlucky days before WrestleMania 3, Piper hit the showers. He was chatting with Harley Race when Hot Rod slipped on a puddle of water and almost became a lightning rod. Do you get it? As he tells it, his fingers went into an empty light bulb socket in the vicinity, and a supercharge apparently sent Piper flying backwards several feet and left him in a nauseous and confused state for some time. He would later sue the Los Angeles Sports Arena for unsafe conditions. Number 5, the 6-man tag was meant to take pressure off Dynamite Kid. Conspicuous by its absence from WrestleMania 3 was a tag team championship match. The Hart Foundation would presumably have put the gold on the line against a team they screwed over for them, the British Bulldogs. It seemed like a logical bout, but Dynamite Kid's health was a concern. The real-life Tom Billington suffered a horrific back injury in December 1986, necessitating the title switch and the probable end of Dynamite's career. Bret Hart later asserted that the 6-man, tacking on conniving official Danny Davis with the Harts and Tino Santana with the Bulldogs, would prevent the need for Dynamite to throw himself around with reckless abandon. Number 4, Randy Savage faxed a script of his match to Ricky Steamboat. The method to Randy Savage's macho madness was careful preparation. One of the reasons so many performers had the match of their lives with the Macho Man is that Savage would meticulously plan out the body of the match in advance. In an era where wrestlers were much more likely to be calling it in the ring, Savage preferred exact choreography. Steamboat was one of those veterans used to free-forming it between the ropes. He was a little taken aback when Savage literally faxed him the bullet points for how their Intercontinental Championship clash would go, with each bullet point being rehearsed meticulously on house shows leading up to the event. Can't say it didn't work. Savage and Steamboat put together the best WWF match of the 1980s and ushered in a faster-paced, false finish-laden style that becomes standard in later years. Number 3, Jimmy Hart injured himself during the Damien sequence. Jake Roberts and Honky Tonk Man had their work cut out for them trying to follow the Savage Steamboat classic, but it was enjoyable. The presence of macabre rocker Alice Cooper in Roberts' corner added some zest to the affair, even if the megastar was about as animated as a plate of beans. After the match, Roberts held Jimmy Hart, Honky's manager, in place, whilst Cooper menaced Hart with Roberts' trademark python Damien. Turns out Hart had a legitimate fear of snakes, and while struggling to get away, he badly strained his neck. Number 2, Paul Orndorff was ready to replace Andre. It took a ton of convincing for McMahon to get Andre the Giant to agree to the main event match at WrestleMania 3. Andre was 40 years old and in constant pain, his back and joints bearing weight that joints aren't meant to bear. Andre Andre agreed and underwent radical back surgery to try and get him to the massive payday. In the event that Andre was unable to perform that night, Vince commissioned longtime Hogan villain Paul Orndorff to wait in the wings as a possible stand-in. It wouldn't have been the same and there probably would have been a riot, but Orndorff would have been a suitable enough last resort. And number 1, Andre drank 14 bottles of wine before his match with Hogan. What the living Andre's drinking stories are legendary, like him, and gigantic, like him. We've all heard the one about Andre drinking 116 12-ounce beers in a single sitting. Some stories claim it was 156. So downing 14 bottles of wine before the most famous wrestling match in history probably doesn't raise too many eyebrows. With a back brace tucked into the one-strap singlet that he wore for the first time ever that night, Andre was as juiced as he could get before the showcase of his life. Everyone remembers the body slam, but not as many people know what Andre put himself through just to get to that iconic moment. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.
Monday, March 6th, live from Newcastle, and free on YouTube. Drew Galloway will defend his WCPW Championship against the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay. And the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, will defend his WCPW Internet Championship. WCPW proudly presents Exit Wounds. Monday, March 6th, 7:30, 2:30 Eastern. Tickets still available at wc.pw.